we're looking into some new issues with our flood protection system.
There's a situation with one of the floodgates out near the airport, and eyewitness investigator David Hammer is joining us now with some details on what's happening out there. David?
Yeah, good evening, Katie. This is an issue of concern for the folks at the Lakefront Airport. That is a primary evacuation site by air for medical patients. That is the primary site where they get people out, but there have been issues with it floods during major hurricanes there, and that can be a problem because of these floodgates out here. This actually is the main floodgate that's been put in behind me for the hurricane protection system after Hurricane Katrina. It is armored, it is ready to go, and there's going to be a gate placed where that truck just came through behind me is going to be placed at some point tonight. It was supposed to be put in place at 6 o'clock. It has not yet been put in place, but it will be put in place tonight. Around the corner, though, there's another floodgate there that leads into the airport itself. That floodgate will not be replaced today. That was taken out for maintenance, and we can take a look at some footage that we have shot of that floodgate. That floodgate was put out to maintenance and will not be reinstalled, but that could be a positive thing for the airport because it has actually prevented the airport from draining in previous storms. We spoke to Wilma Heaton, who is the head of the Lakefront Management Authority and a staff member at the Flood Protection Authority. We spoke to her earlier today about why this issue is so important to the Lakefront Airport. All right, Wilma, so first let's talk about this gate here, this L18 that's apparently redundant now and is not actually doing anything to protect the city.
Yeah, it's part of the flood protection system, but it's a redundant gate. The main gate is under Dowman, under the bridge.
So now that that's not necessary anymore, is it better to have it open or closed?
Well, I don't deem it not necessary. It's a part of the system, and that's for the engineers. Yeah. But for the airport, it's much better that it's open because, of course, the crews have to go out and close everything, and when they do, they have to shut off commerce to the airport, access to the airport. But the main gate that would protect that area is the gate under Dowman, right a few feet away. Right. But the bigger issue for the airport is we don't have flood protection. Our flood protection is on Haines Boulevard, as you can see. Right. But between the lake and the main runways and this building, there's no flood protection whatsoever, which a lot of folks don't understand.
In fact, they've actually opened the valve in order to flood the airport after Hurricane Isaac in 2012, right?
That's correct, and the way the system is currently designed and has been for decades, the valve by Diamond gets turned on at a certain level of water, which turns us into the world's most expensive boulder.
And that means essentially a flood zone?
It floods the airport on purpose because that's the design.
So it is designed to take water, but you've also spent tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer money to fix up the Art Deco this terminal building, a lot of the hangars and the other buildings.
Correct, 19 million for this building, over 68 million for the airport for Katrina alone. Just for Zeta, we've already spent over 800,000 on roof repairs because we have $1 million deductible per occurrence. So with no flood protection, $1 million deductible per occurrence, and no funding, it's a lot of nights we don't sleep.
And you've been trying to get an additional $200 million to try to protect the airport, is that right? What's going on with that?
Yeah, we're hopeful, we're praying, we're talking to anyone who will listen. We're hoarse from talking. The Flood Protection Authority has committed $75 million if I can get the matching funds from the feds. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to go to the feds for the $200 million. But the benefit to the citizens, this is used as an evacuation area. If you're in the hospital in New Orleans, as a needs patient, you do not go out of Armstrong. You come here. And if we're closed, we saved over 2,000 people for Katrina. We could have saved 10 times that many had we not had to close.
So the point is that while it's designed to flood briefly, the idea would be to be able to keep it from being flooded for a long time like it was after Isaac. Is that right? So that you can evacuate people?
Absolutely, because if we have to shut down, we can't fly people out that are in ICU, You know, you don't mix commercial airline passengers with ICU patients, you know, with hospitals and beds, and you have two distinct different purposes. Bell Chase is military, Armstrong's commercial, we are medical evac. So when you have an airport of this significance for life and death, the least we can ask for is to protect it so we can operate during a storm.
So it's not just protecting the investment from the citizens and taxpayers in restoring this old building and some of the other buildings, it's about actually functioning.
Yeah, it's life and death. Now this is the only Art Deco airport left in the nation. So yeah, all that is very important to us, but more important is life and death.
Yeah. And so what would you like to see happen, and what can happen right now in addressing both protecting this neighborhood here near Morrison and all of that off Downman, and getting the airport so that it can operate?
Okay, well, we have a plan. It's a $275 million plan. Locally, we have committed, the Southeast Flood Authority has committed $75 million without raising taxes to match a $200 million federal funding. We just haven't got the federal funding yet, but we have, you know, I can give you a voluminous amount of material to show that for years we've asked. Obviously, we failed miserably because people aren't listening, and when a storm comes, we realize the impact, but we never stop 24/7, 365 days a year. We keep pleading, and I can show you letters and applications, and we keep saying, you know, $200 million, what is that for protecting the complete future of this airport? Plus, we receive no federal money, no public money to operate the airport. We do get FAA funding for capital, for runway repairs and DOTD. Feds pay 90, the state pays 10, but to operate this airport, we have a fuel tax and we have leases from tenants, but we have zero public money allocated. So we don't have the capital every time there's a storm, and we have millions of dollars in damages, you know, to do it. So
My last question is, they spend money sandblasting and maintaining that floodgate there, but now when it's time to protect against a big storm, they say it's not necessary and we'll be okay without it. So isn't that a waste of money to be maintaining a gate that it turns out you don't need?
I can't comment on the engineering aspects of the professionals. People smarter than me do all that. I just know that, frankly, today we're relieved it's open because we are able, when gate crews have to go out and close it, it cuts off commerce to the airport, and we appreciate the system has to be closed. They close gates at the port. They close gates all over. Over 192 apparatuses we close. But if that gate's redundant, I think it's a conversation that the engineers will certainly bring us up to date on. Because it has shown we don't have to have it for this particular storm.
So we have asked for how much it costs to maintain that gate that they say they don't need to use for this storm. And we're waiting for that, and we'll get that after the storm passes, I'm sure. We'll stay on top of that. But for now, the important thing to remember is that the main flood protection wall, the flood wall behind me, is ready to go. There will be a gate placed there tonight, and that will protect the neighborhood here off of Downman Road and Hayne Boulevard. But as for the airport itself and its ability to evacuate medical patients and things like that, it's unclear how that's going to go, and they're hoping that the opening of that gate will actually cause the airport to drain easier than it has in previous storms. For now, at the Lakefront Airport, David Hammer, Eyewitness News.